In this lecture, we're going to be covering the leg, which is made up of two bones, the fibula and the tibia. So here are the tibia and the fibula. The tibia is going to be this bulkier bone that's located medially, and the fibula is going to be the slender bone that's located laterally. The way I remember the two is that fibula has an LA, so this is lateral, and it's also long and slender. For the tibia, the big T sort of reminds me of the T-bone steak, which is very big and bulky. So that's how I am able to differentiate the two bones. But one thing that you guys usually do is that you mix the two names. So you say tibula and fibia. So make sure that you don't make that mistake. It's fibula and tibia. Now the tibia can also be called the shin bone. It is the weight-bearing bone of the leg. And the term tibia is actually very interesting because it means flute. And this is because in ancient times, the tibial bones of birds, they were used to make musical instruments. So that's where the name comes from. And this bone is actually the second longest bone of the body, and it's only exceeded in length by the femur. The tibia will articulate on the proximal end with the femur, as we can see right over here, and it will articulate on the distal end with the fibula and also the talus, which is the top ankle bone. With regards to the fibula, it is going to be, like I said, this very long and slender bone. Now, unlike the tibia, the fibula will not articulate with the femur. As we can see, it will only articulate with the tibia, and it also will not serve as a weight-bearing bone because it will not sit on top of the talus. It just articulates laterally with the tibia, and this will help to stabilize the ankle joint, and we will talk more about this when we cover the ankle joint. Now notice how between the fibula and the tibia you also have the interosseous membrane present as you had between the radius and the ulna. On this slide, we can cover a few of the bone features that you need to know. We can start with the tibia. The tibia anteriorly is going to have this rough projection over here that's called the tibial tuberosity. And this is where the quadriceps femoris tendon, which has the patella encased in, it will insert right over there on the tibial tuberosity. On the proximal part of the tibia, right here on top, you're going to have these smooth articulating surfaces, which are going to be the condyle, because the tibia is medial and the fibula is lateral. This side over here will be the medial condyle. Therefore, the other side will be the lateral condyle. And these condyles, they will articulate with the femur. So the femur will sit right on top of the condyles. Therefore, we can say that the lateral condyle of the femur will articulate with the lateral condyle of the tibia, and the medial condyle of the femur will articulate with the medial condyle of the tibia. Moving down right over here on the shaft, we have what we call the anterior tibial margin or anterior tibial crest. And this crest is actually very sharp, and that's why when you get kicked right over here on your shins, it is very painful. That's because of this sharp edge anteriorly. On the medial side, you're going to have this projection that will be important to stabilize the ankle joint, and this is called the medial malleolus. With regards to the fibula, the only two things that you need to know is that on the proximal end, it will have a head that will articulate with the tibia posteriorly, and on the distal end, it will have the lateral malleolus. Therefore, the tibia has the medial malleolus, and the fibula has the lateral malleolus. Now notice how you're also going to have the fibular notch located right over here, which is where the fibula will articulate with the tibia. On this slide, it's just a close-up of the bone features that we were talking about. So here is the proximal end. You can see this big bump would be your tibial tuberosity. You can't really see much, but this would be your medial condyle. Up here would be your lateral condyle. And on the distal end, we have the medial malleolus. And also on the posterior side, on this image right over here, we can see this flat surface over here, which is where the fibula will articulate. So the proximal end of the fibula will articulate right over here on this flat surface posteriorly. Here we have close-up of the fibula. This would be the head of the fibula. And on the distal end, it will have the lateral malleolus. Now, all of these are lateral malleolus. It's a little bit hard to know sometimes which one is the right side and which one is the left side, but you don't really need to know. The only thing you need to know is that on the distal end of the fibula, you will have the lateral malleolus, and on the proximal end of the fibula, you're going to find the head.